In the frozen silence beyond the Emperor's light, where storms never lift, and where the stars seem to be buried beneath snow and memory, you will find the Nivarn. Welcome to the third class of the White Flag Penumbrals, following the Azir, masters of tide and mire, and the Vexa, who stride the quake-scarred deadlands of earth and root. Where the others move through liquid or earth, the Nivarn are carved into the ice and stone like monuments with a purpose. They are born of the mountain Trigram in the I Ching, the image of unyielding strength, of calm after motion, of a peak that does not descend and a boundary that cannot be crossed. The Nivarn were inspired by one of the most iconic and harrowing stories in science fiction horror, John W. Campbell's 1938 novella, Who Goes There, and its unforgettable film adaptation, John Carpenter's 1982 film, The Thing. This is a tale of isolation, paranoia, and full-blown identity collapse, where trust unravels with each breath, and the creature doesn't just attack, it becomes. It's a shapeshifter that mimics, replaces, and erodes your very sense of reality. This was horror before CGI. The practical effects team on the film The Thing had to invent new forms of physical transformation, melting flesh, reversed footage, hidden puppet mechanisms, all stitched into a storm of snow, flame, and silence. That challenge of working with the material, the tactile, is what echoed in this force. The Thing is the perfect mirror to the horror of a 40K gene stealer cult. In both, the threat isn't an invading army, it's an implosion, a subtle infestation that replaces the familiar from the inside out. The organism doesn't conquer by force, but by manifesting, mimicking its host until no one can tell who's real. By the time you recognize it, it's already you. And so, the story of the Nivarn begins with a mission, centered on a relic, or maybe a creature. Certainly, it was a package. And now the Nivarn must deliver it to Vault Spiral 6, a sealed biostatic archive deep beneath an unmarked polar moon. Barely visible on the tundra's horizon, a column of Nivarn stretches through the unrelenting ice storm. The command unit for the Nivarn always lead from the front. They are the first to bear the brunt of the winds, the pelting rains, and the freezing drifts. And at the head of the column, perched on an outcropping, stands Vorak the Mad, wrapped in the pelts of wolves that have died under his command. He does not walk in front simply to lead. He walks to stay ahead of the voices that bounce in his head. It is said that when Vorak finally stops moving, the mountain itself will freeze around him. And just below him, the rider Tharn and his mount Urgal are positioned to prevent any threat ahead. This is not cavalry per se, it is more of a walking sanctum, carrying supplies, relics, and memories. In battle, they become an impenetrable wall. And typically found kilometers ahead of this group is the Vorhusk, a half-wolf, half-machine scout of sorts, racing through the white drifts. It marks threats, it burns contaminated terrain, and it signals danger to the rest of the group. Its muzzle is a flame vent. Its purpose, purge the path. Finally, the command unit is watched over by the Silnex, a seven-legged, six-eyed creature that carries the Nivarn symbol itself. It carves a path through the terrain using its intuition, navigating storms like a prophet, tracing forgotten lines in the snow. And then we have the infantry, called the shard-bound, that move like an avalanche. Their burly frames are loaded with climbing gear, trip mines, axes, and sensors. Their ancestral blood runs rich with the will of fearless miners, those who carved through stone and void alike, without question or pause. In the shard-bound, that legacy endures, tempered by ice, honed by silence, and buried beneath superstitions deeper than bedrock. Rapid support comes from the Shard Runners, sled-mounted, AI-piloted skimmers built from retrotech and sacred timber blades. The Shard Runners surge through ice trenches in seamless formations, their paths pre-mapped by seismic echoes and cryptic beacons laid days before. They do not break. They carve like blades through a wound, synchronized by algorithmic instinct. The larger shard runners, known as vault sleds, carry vital equipment and act as mobile beacons, amplifying encrypted noospheric signals and relaying battlefield telemetry through the resonance of ice-embedded crystal pylons. Trailing behind, the glacier crawlers form the backbone of the column. They are not weapons, they are ritual infrastructure. The small glacier crawler, known as the Hearth Womb, hauls essential supplies and biosealed reliquaries, its trailer compartment doubling as a recovery crypt or mobile shrine. The larger unit, the Vault Tongue, anchors the expedition's command nexus. It towers, humming with low-frequency psalms that stabilize Vox networks and veil the Nivarn's presence beneath the storm. And at the center, wrapped in netting, chained in iron, veiled in silence, tentacles breach its bindings, whispers leak from beneath the canvas. The containment frame, jury-rigged from fractured crawler plating and insulated reliquary mesh, was assembled outside the main convoy after the Silnex refused to allow it aboard. No vehicle's sanctity could hold it, so they bound the package to an open-framed conveyance, pulled by their most faithful beasts. The Nivarn's technology was too rigid, and only living beings still held the capacity for defiant loyalty even as these beings decayed in front of the column. All right, well, there you go. There's the first installment of the Nivarn. I hope you enjoyed seeing this kind of whirlwind tour of different kit bashes. As many of you probably could tell from a 40K perspective, a lot of the models were sourced from the Leagues of Votann. And for eagle-eyed viewers out there, you might notice a couple of Soul Blight Gravelord models as well. The vehicles have largely been 135 scale and have been sourced from both old Soviet war era propeller-based sleds all the way through to more modern tracked vehicles you might find in modern armies. And I intend to add to this unit and dive a lot deeper on the, shall we say, Gene Stiller cult tyrannid side of things in the monsters that the Nivarn might capture and try to contain. So look out for future videos, maybe where I explore and build on that. I'd love to hear if you're interested in seeing more of that side of things as the Nivarn themselves potentially morph and get taken over by some of these shape-shifting creatures that they are designed to really try to prevent total annihilation from. And we've still only kitbashed 3 out of the 8 penumbral classes for White Flag inspired by the I Ching trigrams. So you'll also be seeing many more of these classes of penumbrals in the future. Thanks for watching.